Well, hello, and welcome back to another podcast episode with Brittney Bundles. You are listening to the Brittney Bundles podcast, where we empower people through entrepreneurship. And today we have a very special guest with us by the name of Venetia. She is an entrepreneur. She owns a business by the name of Century Fragrant Oils. And she does offer fragrant oils for men, women, and unisex. So before I share any more information about Venetia or her business, I do want to open up the podcast and introduce her, or let her introduce herself and also her business. So hi, Venetia, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you doing? I'm so excited to be here.
I'm well too. Thank you for asking, and I'm super excited to have you. So I know that I gave out your business name. Do you mind sharing what your business does, who you are, and just a little bit of information regarding you and your journey?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Again, thank you for having me on the podcast. I think you're doing some great things. So just wanted to mention that.
Thank you.
So again, my name is Venetia, and I have Century Fragrant Oils or Century Perfume Oils. So we pretty much have fragrance oils inspired by designer and niche fragrances. So pretty much anything or almost anything that you might buy in a store, we have an oil-based version of that. Everything is pretty much available online through our e-commerce website, century.com. And we're constantly looking to add more fragrances. For those of you who like to have a robust fragrance wardrobe, we want to be your one-stop shop for that.
Thank you. That sounds really good. As far as the scents, now I do have to be honest, I am just now getting into the scent world. I know I'm late, but I don't have a favorite scent just yet. But all of my friends and everyone that I speak to, they always rave about what their favorite scents are. Do you mind sharing with us what your favorite scent from your website is?
Oh wow. So my favorite scent right now it's probably I kind of like the scents inspired by Tom Ford. I'm a big fan of the Tom Ford scents, but and I'll get into that a little bit later because that's actually how that
Okay.
brought me to come up with Century. But right now, to answer your question, I'm loving Tom Ford inspires vanilla fatale. It's got just enough vanilla in it. And it's a unisex fragrance, so men and women could wear it. But to me, I just kind of love how it makes me feel when I wear that one. So that's probably my favorite right now.
Okay. And then for the fragrances that you sell, I know you mentioned they're like oils. So like I said, I'm a little new to the fragrance world. Is that different? I'm assuming it is different. Is it like the roll-on type of fragrances, or
Yes.
is it like,
So it's the
okay,
roll on. They come in a roller bottle. So I have 10 millimeter roller bottles. That's about a third of an ounce. And then I've got 1 ounce roller bottles. And also I have about a third of an ounce, 10 milliliters spray. So if you are a person who loves to have a spray instead of a roller bottle, then we can definitely support you there as well. The roller bottle is it's a thicker oil-based fragrance, so it's thicker. It's probably one would say it's a little bit more of a robust scent. But the spray for many people is going to be more convenient. A lot of people like to have spray and keep going. But either way, whichever your preference is, spray or just the roller bottle version, we can support you. We've got both for you.
so would you say that the oils would probably be a little bit more, I don't know if I'm looking for strong to be the right word, but do you think that the oils last longer than the sprays typically?
Yeah, most people feel that the oil that's not the spray version, because they're both oil based, they're both oils, but the
Oh, okay.
spray has a little bit a different component that makes it come out through the atomizer versus just coming out through the roller bottle. So I just refer to them as roller balls or sprays. But it's essentially the same thing, except the spray has a little bit different chemical makeup that makes it come out the spray. So to answer your question, most people feel that the oils that's in the roller bottle does last longer because it's more concentrated. It's completely oil and it doesn't have any other chemicals to kind of thin it out, so to speak, to make it come through the atomizer, if that makes sense. So it's the same thing. My sprays actually have about a 20 to 30% concentration of oil. Now, when you go to your department stores, most of those eau de toilette or perfumes, colognes, they have usually at most 5% concentration of actual fragrance, and the rest of it is typically like filler. So even if you get the spray for me, even though there's that extra component to make it come out through the atomizer, it's still more concentrated than what you can expect to get out of a department store.
Well, thank you for breaking that down. That really sounds good. So I'm interested. I'm gonna definitely start doing more research and get into the fragrant world. But it definitely sounds like, thank you, I would be open to it. So yeah, I do want to switch gears just a little bit and learn more about your journey. I know you mentioned in the beginning of the episode that you wanted to share more information as far as what inspired you to get started. And that's just so intriguing. Everyone's inspiration and motivation for jumping into entrepreneurship is so different, but yet there's so many similarities. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit of yours, what inspired you to get started with this?
Well, so I've been in the e-commerce world for a long time, but I'm one of those people that definitely, kind of always overthinking things. And I'll be completely honest, I didn't do anything that I loved. So I didn't stick to any of my prior e-commerce ventures initially. And for me, because I also have a more corporate type career, I wanted my e-commerce and my entrepreneurship journey to be something that I do actually love and kind of have a passion about versus it being a second part of, a corporate type job. So, long story short, I had a couple of different things that I tried. So, definitely had experience with Shopify and different e-commerce platforms. But again, like I say, I didn't love it. I had a clothing boutique. I've sold scarves and accessories, and that just didn't do it for me. But in my personal life, I've always loved fragrances. I've always loved perfumes, but it seems like I was forever on a journey to find the perfect scent for me. Like I didn't know enough about different scents and how they worked and everything. And for me, it was always, I was always looking for two components to the perfect scent for myself. And this is actually what I recommend to people if they're looking for something for themselves. But the first thing that I was always looking for was, how does that scent make me feel? Like, do I love the way it makes me feel? And as I wear it and the day progresses, do I still smell it? And how fragrances, they go through their different, their opening notes. And then after you've worn it for a little while, it smells a little bit different. And then their base notes, that's what you're left with at the end. Like throughout that entire journey, are you still enjoying the fragrance? So that's important for me to be able to enjoy it. The other thing is, do I get good feedback? And that seemed like that was the part I was always struggling with, because I'd find a scent that I love, but then when I go to work to like a 9 to 5 and I get on the elevator and no one would ever say, "Oh, you smell amazing." So I'm like, well, this ain't it, until I get that good feedback, then, it's not it for me. So for me, it's very important that I get good feedback on it, because that lets me know that to the outside world, that fragrance is meshing well with my natural body chemistry. So I've always kind of thought about those two things when I wear a fragrance. And so long story short, my countertop, probably as most of us women, was full of fragrances, just full of all these perfumes that I would go into department stores, pay a lot of money for, and I'd use them and spray them a couple of times and never get back to them. And I'm like, there has to be a better way. You know, I was forever on this journey of looking for a signature scent. And that kind of led me to get into the fragrance oils. And I love it. And it is such a fulfilling thing for me right now. And I'm so excited. You know, I've got some pretty loyal customers, and it's so exciting for me because I actually learn a lot from them too. But my own struggles with finding the perfect scent is what led me here to Century Fragrant Oils.
And I can definitely relate because, like I mentioned, I'm kind of new to the fragrance world. I had a poor experience as a child with different perfumes. I would go to church with my grandmother, as a lot of us listening may have done when we were younger. And oh my gosh, like I used to leave. I didn't have headaches that young, but my nose would be on fire. I'm like, Grandma. And no offense if you're listening, I don't mean to offend you, Grandma. I can say it now, but it just used to be a lot of different scents going on, you know. Her scents, the usher scents, the choir scents. I'm like, I don't want any scents. If it's gonna be like this, I'll just stay away from it.
Right. No, I can relate to that also because I used to have this thing, and again, no offense, like you said, to anybody who wears this, but for me, it was like white diamonds. I'm like, oh,
that's what it is. Yes.
Oh my
that's
goodness.
What my grandmother's wore. It is. And no offense, right? I mean, some people like it, but it was just a lot. And then I would have the cologne. You know, my dad would wear cologne, and he would spray it on my brothers. And I'm like, they'll run past me. I don't know what that is, but I said, I think there's a little too much going on. So I never wanted to be that person to offend anyone because I know how I felt being next to someone that was just, the smell was just overpowering. And I'm like, this is just, it's not it. So
yeah.
The fact
I can totally relate to that as well. And that was always a kind of a thing for me too. But on the flip side of it, I always felt like when you sometimes men and women, I can be the first to admit that I've seen a beautiful woman and, you know, stood next to her and she has on a scent that complements her look. And I'm like, man, you know, it just adds to her. And men too. And I think we can all attest to this. We've seen some handsome dudes, and then they have on this, I don't know, you know, they'd have on whatever scent they like. And you just be like, oh, amazing. So I think it might take some time and some effort, but if you find a scent or a series of fragrances that complement you, it really kind of step things up for you. And it makes you feel good, but it's also a treat for people around you. It can be a treat if you don't overdo it, like you said, because I can support what you just said. If you use too much, it definitely can be overpowering. And that's one of the reasons why I like the oils, is because you apply those to the pulse points and you apply them as needed. And it's kind of hard to overdo it like some of us would with the spray. So that's why I like the roller bottles, because you can kind of put it in those intimate areas. You can put it, you know, dab a little bit behind your ear and on the wrist, and it's just enough. Since I started really wearing the roller balls, I never really have anybody commenting like, oh, it's overpowering. But I will admit, there's been times when I've tried to spray different fragrances, not necessarily mine, but just, you know, in my past life. And, you know, nobody would say it in particularly to me, but people would say, oh, you know, what's that? You know, I smell a lot of perfume. And it's a lot of people noses are very sensitive. So that's why I like the roller bottles. It's like you have a little bit more control over where exactly you want the fragrance to go.
Well, that's good. So I'm going to start, I think we'll continue with roller bottles. Because I would, like you mentioned, I would see, you know, a woman that's put together and ask, you know, and smell good and say, you know, hey, well, what kind of scent is that? And then I would go to get the scent, and I had no idea that scents smell different on different people. I mean, it makes sense, but I had no idea that, you know, I could wear a scent and it smell completely different than someone else. I know you mentioned was it the high notes or high points of the fragrance?
Yeah,
And then
you
the
have your
low,
opening notes, and see, that's what a lot of people like when you go to a department store and they say, "Oh, come here," you're at the fragrance counter or the makeup counter, and they spray it. What you're receiving right in that moment is the opening notes, but that's just the first 10-15 minutes of the fragrance. But what you're left with after 30 minutes, an hour, and even beyond that, it's like a journey, and you want to make sure that you still enjoy the fragrance as it goes through that journey. That's why I say, for me, it's very important that throughout that entire journey, when you open it up, and you get that opening scent through, and then through the rest of the day, you're still enjoying that fragrance. It's important because you don't want to, an hour into it, be like, this smells completely different and I want it
yes.
off of me. Yeah. So, sometimes it takes a little work. And like I say, for me, I'm always on the hunt for a signature fragrance in my mind. But many people, what I'm finding, and not to switch gears, but I thought people like me would be my target audience. But there's so many other people who are really into the fragrance community, and what they want is to have like a fragrance wardrobe, and they have different fragrances that they wear for different occasions, and just different whatever. And I'm more of a structured type person. I prefer one or two or three main things that I can go to, but it can be such a treat if you have a collection of different fragrances that you, just like outfits that you wear in different situations. And many people like to layer them and mix scents. And I haven't completely got into that because, again, I'm super structured when it comes to picking out things, but it's just so much you can do with it. It's very fun.
Wow, I'm excited to continue my journey because it definitely can be rewarding once you find that perfect scent, like you mentioned. I did like
Oh
something that you
yeah.
just said when you mentioned that you thought initially your target audience was going to be people that were like you. Do you mind sharing with us how you were able to find your target audience and how you're able to network with people that aren't like you?
Well, and that's an ongoing thing for me. So Century is just coming up on 1 year. So Century
Congratulations.
hasn't been around for a super long time. Thank you. I'm really excited about that. But yeah, so it's still a very dynamic thing for me. It's not that it was static and that I just stumbled, was able to find out. But as far as like when I started and I would do ads or, try to target different people, I thought, okay, young women are, this is who I'm going to want to target because they're going to be the ones who are interested in the fragrances. And as it turns out, it's been completely different. It's a little bit older than I initially thought, men and women. And I have probably just as many men, if not slightly less. But I have way more men than I thought I would are very interested in my fragrance oils. And they are a little bit older, like I would say most of them are in the 30 and up range. I thought that I would be able to push my product to young women in their 20s. And that's pretty much not how it's been for me. So the way that I found that out pretty much was just looking at my stats, do everything on a continuous basis and just trial and error. I wish I had an answer, but I don't. And like I say, it's something that I'm still trying to fine tune as I go. And that's okay for me. I don't mind. Like I say, I'm about a year in, and once I hit that really sweet spot, I think it's going to be even better. But for right now, it's about paying attention to all the analytics and the metrics that you can get your hands on, and just constantly refining.
And that's amazing. It took me a while to even start paying attention to the analytics, but there's some good information in the analytics that will definitely help your business grow and prepare you to create a broader plan for your marketing and advertising structure. Do you find it easy, or have you even, I don't want to say easy, do you find it, let's say, challenging to promote on social media and actually secure sales, or how have you been able to secure sales most efficiently for your business?
So yeah, I do think it could be a little bit challenging at first to secure sales and speak to your audience on social media. So, and that's something that I'm constantly tweaking, just like everything else. But my strategy pretty much is one, to realize you can't be everywhere all the time. You can't be on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. You need to decide where you're going to be and you need to show up there. So for me, I'm mostly on Facebook because I feel that's where most of my target audience is. One other thing that I've realized is that many people that visit my website, even if they don't make a purchase, they're leaving their email address and they're leaving either their phone number and or email address. So my thing is to speak to those people, continue to engage those people because they've shown some interest. So now I'm getting into email marketing a little bit more and text marketing, just saying, hey, I'm having a sale, and that seems to go over well with people also. So I'm for me, it's pretty much Facebook. I do send stuff to Instagram, but other than that, email and text marketing. I do plan to get into TikTok a little bit more just to see if I can reach that younger audience, but I don't have all of my ads and everything ready for TikTok yet.
And when you mentioned TikTok, my face just lit up because that's what I was working on, trying to figure out the other day. I had my son come in. He's only 12. And I said, now, how do you do this? And he pulled up the TikTok videos and they look cool. And I tried to record myself, but I said, as far as adding the words in and then the music on top of it, and I don't know. I considered myself to be a little tech savvy at first, but then when I got into YouTube and saw all the different editing programs, and now this TikTok, I said maybe I wasn't as good as I thought I was. But if you learn how to do TikTok before me, then reach out, please. And if I learn, then I'll send you some information.
Hey,
but man,
I'm here for it because I agree, and it's taught me because I'm like you. I always felt like, you're kind of tech savvy, and I'm a millennial, and I have a set of 17-year-old twins, and they won't even help me. But it's shown me like you don't know what these kids are doing these days, Venetia. And I've recorded some TikTok videos, and I'm like, girl, you look stupid. So, but I'm working on it. At least I can say that I feel that I'm not going to give up until I get to a place where I'm comfortable, just because I don't want to feel defeated. But at the same time, if I run ads and it doesn't work out, at least I know that I tried. But like I said, so far, I know that my target audience, I kind of know where they hang out, the people like me.
Well, that's good. And I know you mentioned ads. Have you tried ads with your business, or are you more so on the side of, okay, I'm not really going to do Facebook ads and Instagram ads. I'm just going to build my business through like email marketing, text marketing only, and social media only,
Yeah,
without the ads?
I definitely have run ads, and that's something that I continue to do. And I feel like I need to be better about updating my ads, but it's definitely something that I do for Facebook and sometimes Instagram. I just think you have to put in sometimes to get out. And I'm not even saying always put in that monetary part. You just have to put in the effort and, try different things to see what works. For me, sometimes the metrics say, oh, you ran this ad and you didn't get many sales. And that could be discouraging, but people are looking at it, and it goes back to what I said earlier. You constantly have to show up. There are studies that say you have to engage people 5, 6, 7 times before they make a purchase for you. So, I just kind of make it a part of my budget. And the theme for me now is to just keep showing up, and the people will come.
Well, I like that. Keep showing up. That's definitely true in entrepreneurship. And I like how you said it doesn't even have to be in the form of paying for ads or, paying for any updates or marketing for your business. But as long as you're there trying to put together a plan and constantly looking to build relationships with people, the sales will definitely come. I know you mentioned that you have twins. And I am so curious. I try to ask this to every parent that comes on the podcast. How do you balance being an entrepreneur and also being a mom? How do you keep those I guess how do you keep your sanity in doing both?
Well, I'm just gonna keep it real. My answer is not real conventional,
Okay.
but I pretty much have to wing it a lot.
Hmm.
And try it's something that I'm trying to get better with as far as planning and structure. I feel that I'm a person that works pretty well under pressure. And in a situation where I have to think quickly, or that seems to activate something with me, knowing that it has to be done now. So and a lot of it, I'll be honest, it was starting out when the twins were very young. I had support system as far as like their dad and our parents and everything or whatever, but pretty much on a day-to-day basis, it was just me and them. And they've always gone to school and daycare, and I've always worked and had a full-time job. And for a lot of that, it seemed like it took me forever to finish school, but we were always doing something, and we were always on the go. And a lot of times we just had to wing it. And again, that's not a very conventional answer, but what it also translates is you just have to show up and be present
Yeah.
and, keep moving and do what you can. And I feel like God and the universe, which is God, as long as you're showing up and you're doing the best that you can, things are going to work out. Be a decent human being and, do what you can and do the best that you can. And a way will be made for you, because I can tell you, there's been some very difficult times for me and the twins, and they are 17 now. They're about to be 18 in about 3 months. And I cannot believe it, but that we're here where we are. But just keeping your sanity and trying to do things. I just told myself, just show up in the best form that you can. Luckily, God was came through for me,
Yes.
and we made it. And it's not like we made it and it's sober now. I mean, but we survived, and I'm so grateful for it. And the only thing I could tell anybody who, maybe have smaller children, or who feeling the burn right now, is just hang in there and just know that it will get better. But you just got to keep showing up and being present and just doing the best that you can. There's a lot of times I made bad mistakes and decisions, and lots of times we struggled, but you get through it. So just show up, do the best that you can. Do try to implement some structure. Obviously, it will help, but in the grand scheme of things, just show up and be present. Do the best you can, and things will tend to work themselves out.
That's inspiring. Just do what you can do. Do you? I used to always say, or my mom used to say, and now I say, do what you can do. Do what you can do. Use what you have as resources and tools, and continue moving forward. There's really no right or wrong way to be an entrepreneur. And I really
Yes.
admire. I know in the beginning of the podcast, you were mentioning that you also are in the corporate world. So you're working, you're a mother, and you're also an entrepreneur. So that you have a lot of hats going on. How do you stay motivated with everything in your life? I know you mentioned winging it and showing up, but do you have anything that keeps you going? What keeps you showing up?
Well, I know the type of life that I want to live, and I know the type of legacy that I want. And, it's not anything like, I don't need to be popular. I don't need to be a person who's well known, but I just
Right.
want to kind of leave my little mark on the world, and, just show my kids and my family that, hey, you can do something that you have not seen anyone in a close perimeter to you do before. And you can reach goals. And sometimes I think we grow up not, seeing people on TV and seeing people who are not really close to us do things, and we question if we can really do them ourselves.
Yes.
So I just want my children and my family to know that, yeah, you can do whatever you want. You just have to pursue it. And you might not, completely meet the goal, but maybe you will. Who knows? So as far as that, it's just, you know, trying to reach those goals. It can be a little bit taxing. I can say that in working the corporate world, um, I've always felt like that's been kind of a safety net. And that's one thing that I'm not going to say I'm struggling, but I'm kind of wanting to venture out of maybe in the next 3 to 5 years. Who knows? With the mindset shift of you can create your own, Venetia. You don't have to use this false or facade of a safety net of being in the corporate world. And I honestly wish that I would have really believed in myself a little bit more, maybe in my 20s or something, because now I'm at salary wise, I don't have a super high salary, but to replace what my salary is now, it's much more than it would have been when I was 20 something.
Okay.
So does that make sense? So I'm trying
It
to, so
definitely does. Yes.
I'm like, man, if I would have started when I was in my 20s, and now I could have been there, but now it's like, if I want to replace my salary, it's going to be that much more work. But I'm really not even intimidated by that, because I feel like in the grand scheme of things, it's still not that much. Again, it's a big mindset set shift. And I think
Yes.
it's something that we all need to have sometimes, is a mindset shift. So I'm here for it. I'm willing to continue to work a corporate job, for a while. I don't have an end date that I'm trying to get to. I'm just really trying to get comfortable with that mindset shift. But I don't want to rush anything, because, again, I do want to make sure that my quality and everything that I do to serve my customers at Century, I want it to stay there. So while I have the opportunity to have a career and a salary, and I can try different things, like right now I'm kind of not struggling, but I'm trying different things with my not unboxing, but my packaging and all of these different things. So I have the opportunity to do that. And so I'm just not rushing anything. I'm trying to enjoy the ride, but it can definitely be a little bit taxing, like you said, because there's so many things that's going on in life. But it's fun. I wouldn't
Definitely.
trade it for the world. Yeah.
It's definitely rewarding. And like you mentioned before, fulfilling. It's something that you actually tapped into that you enjoy doing. And that makes all the difference.
Yes,
I know you
definitely.
mentioned we were emailing back and forth, and you put down the unboxing experience, and then you just hinted a little bit about unboxing and different packaging options. Do you mind sharing how your unboxing and packaging experiences have been with your business?
Well, that's I've been thinking about it, because I thought about going on social media and telling my customers, hey guys, I know sometimes I keep switching up things and we're switching up things, but we want you to have the best experience. But I say, you know what? I don't have to apologize for anything, because one thing I can say is that I've always been committed to trying to make it the best that it can be with the resources that I have. And I
Yes.
am a person, I live for getting a package. I don't care who sends it, Amazon. Like, I loved getting the Sephora Play Box when it was a thing. I mean, I just love getting stuff, and I just light up when I get a package. And then if it's packaged well, that just adds to it. So I want my customers to feel like, because I do charge a little bit more for my products and services than what some similar people may charge, but I want my clients to feel like they get the best product and they have the best experience, and we are a community. And I want them to feel like they're getting all of that. So right now, I've tried some different things. I've tried custom boxes. Right now, I'm not doing custom boxes, but everything is pretty much custom packaging. Like my bottles have custom labels. Pretty much everything has Century on it, and I just want them to have a good experience. So I always welcome feedback. So far, my clients have said really good things, and I'm super proud of that. But again, I always want to make it better, because I know in the beauty and beauty industry, and us women, we just live for that. We just live for a good experience.
Yes,
It's very important.
I can definitely agree with you there. Um, So you tried different packaging options, and you also mentioned that you do like to keep a community within your customers and clients. And I do talk a lot about how it's important to build relationships and how email marketing and text marketing is looked over, unfortunately, by a lot of newer entrepreneurs. Can you share with us some of any tips that you may have as far as how you're able to get potential customers and clients to sign up for your newsletter as well as text marketing?
Yeah, usually if you offer people something, a discount, if you were in the service industry, offer them tips, and that can be still held true. I mean, I know you've been doing this a lot longer than me, and you do it well, but even in the industry where you have a product, you can still offer people tips. We have to constantly be serving our audience, and we have to constantly be giving them something. That's just the kind of world that we as consumers live in. We want to know what am I getting in return. So serve your audience however that may be. Show up, and people will give you that. And it doesn't always translate to a sale immediately, but if you're building that relationship, they will eventually give you a try. They will try you out. And if you don't meet their expectations or you miss the mark, it's not the end of the world. Just be open to correcting it. Like for me, I have a no refund policy because of the hygienic nature of the product. I'm not gonna, you're not gonna return some oils to me and I'm not gonna sell them to somebody else. We don't do that. But that doesn't mean that if you got a bad experience and you reach out, that I'm not gonna give you a replacement or something. I want to take care of you once you've become a client. I want you to have a good experience. So because I know once you've given me your email address, that's something we hold near and dear to us these days. Is we don't give everybody our email addresses like we used to because of spam and all of that. But once somebody give you that, you want to show them that you appreciate them by not spamming them and, serving them by, hey, here's some tips or here's a discount. Usually when someone does places the order with me, I throw in at least one other sample. It's just, for me, it's all about serving that customer when they've shown interest in me. Someone, they may make an initial sale just to kind of test the waters and they may not spend very much, but I want them to still have a good experience, because that's going to build the relationship for later on. So to answer your question about getting them providing that information, I just hold it very near and dear to me when someone does share that and show that interest, and I want to serve them along that process or that funnel as much as I can. So you give me your email address, I want to give you a small discount or something that I can show appreciation to you. And then you make a purchase. I want to show up by giving you a good product and decent packaging and probably even a sample. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful for that.
Yes.
And just keep serving as much as I can throughout that relationship.
Well, great. I definitely think that is needed to, like you mentioned, not just get that sale, but build that relationship and be able to be their point of contact and their resource. Because it definitely sounds like you know what you're talking about. I know what in the beginning of our podcast, when you mentioned the high notes and low notes, I said, okay, all right. So she's in it because you're explaining the difference between the oils and the sprays and, how the scents, they change after a while. So I definitely can relate to building relationships and just wanting to be there and show up like you mentioned. So I think you're doing a great job with that. Just looking over our
I can
notes
say
here.
that you do too, and
Well, thank you.
it's very inspiring to kind of encounter like-minded people. Again, that's why I'm so excited that you had me on, because I can take a page from your book too. Man, I'm like, she's consistent.
Well, thank you. I try to be. I try to
No,
be.
you're very.
Well, thank you. Um, it looks like just reading over our notes, I know that you mentioned you do ship within the US and that you're going to be doing a few in-person selling events later this year. Do you have those events, the names of them or the places that you'd like to share? That way, if we do have any listeners that want to continue following up with you, they can? Or should we look toward your social media for that information?
Yeah, look towards my social media. I do have one in-person event. It's pretty much like a pop-up shop along with some other vendors. I've decided I'm gonna try to get my feet wet just by doing a little bit of this. My big thing has been e-commerce, and which is still and always plan for it to always be the main part of this venture is e-commerce. But again, it doesn't hurt to try different things. I'm a little bit intimidated because it's going to be my first time really in person, offering the product, but we just don't know enough about if it's a good thing or not a good thing to not do it. So that's definitely something I'm going to be trying. And who knows, you just never know where it's going to take you if there's a different audience that I can serve in person versus e-commerce only. But yeah, just look to the social media for that. If there's anybody in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, I'm hoping to do at least 2 to 3 more events by the end of the year. That's kind of a personal goal. So we'll definitely let you guys know if you follow me.
And you're at My Body Oils on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think it's only natural. I can speak from my experience and other business owners that I work with to be a little maybe nervous or intimidated when you're trying something new, but I definitely think that you have it. So you'll be fine. I can feel it. You'll be fine.
Thank you. I need that little boost of confidence because I'm like, girl, you got so much to do, but it's exciting. And, that lets me know that I'm on the right track is that, I'm interested, I'm completely invested in it. So I'm excited.
I'm excited for you. And, I appreciate you coming on the podcast and sharing your journey and about your business. Do you have anything that you'd like to close out with saying, any advice or any information about your business, maybe that we didn't touch on? I'll just open up the floor to you for the closing words.
Okay, well, I don't really have anything profound or amazing to say, but just where I am in the journey or whatever, I always feel like we should be kind of reaching back to other people, and people also reach back to us, like listening to your podcast. I know this has kind of been your thing for several years now. So you're serving us by, providing tips and information on the podcast and on the YouTube channel. So, I'm not at the level you are, but I still feel that I can reach back and share something.
Definitely.
And if nothing else, I just want anybody who's starting out just to be encouraged. And there's going to be a lot of bumps and bruises along the process, but you just have to keep showing up and being there. And for me personally, I have a lot of paralysis analysis, but the way you overcome that and overthinking things is just do something, make it and then make it better. That's why my packaging and all of my stuff is constantly evolving, because I'm not gonna let paralysis analysis keep me from moving forward.
Yes.
I borrowed that from somebody because for me, it's a real thing. And I will be completely paralyzed by overthinking things. And the way you overcome that is just keep moving. Just do the best that you can with what you've got and make it better as you can. And you'll be fine. And it's rewarding. It's not always easy. There's plenty of days you're going to be up late, but hang in there and it will be worth it, in my opinion.
Well, thank you. And I definitely agree with you there. If any of you listening, if you'd like to keep up with Phoenicia, please follow her on Facebook and Instagram at My Body Oils. And then also you mentioned your website. Do you mind sharing your website once more?
Sure. It's www.centrie, that's SCENTRIE.com. So www.SCENTRIE.com. Yes, the deep Southern accent.
Well, I just moved down south, so I am learning. I don't want to say learning, but my ears are getting more, I guess, not so alert to the accent. I'm hearing everyone, and everyone's coming to me like, "You're not from here, are you?" I said, "Well, how do you know that?" So, but it's the way that I talk. So yeah, my husband's from down south, and he is saying, we don't say pop down here. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess soda. It's just it's a lie. I'm saying go get the car. He said the buggy. I guess. So
yeah.
it's
a
definitely
different world down here, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
No, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
My dad said, so you're not coming back to Michigan, are you? I said to visit, but I mean, the food, the weather, the people, I mean, I don't know. And again, for those listening in Michigan, that's always my home, but yes. So the accent, yes, I'm trying to. My mom said, I hear your voice changing a little bit. I said, okay, Mom, well, I'm gonna try to keep my Michigan accent with me as long as I can. But
well, I think you have a pretty good neutral accent. Yeah, I think so.
You.
That's
so Mom,
one thing yeah, coming from a Texan.
Okay.
You have a good neutral accent, and because that's something I used to try to work on, but at this point I'm like, look, this is me.
Right. Well,
no.
It was a pleasure speaking with you. I thank you again for coming on the podcast. For any of you listening, if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, feel free to email me at btalks@yahoo.com. That's BTALKS@yahoo.com. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you on the next episode.